Does Radonda Vaught deserve to go to jail? Absolutely not. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Zing RX, and today we are going to be talking about the latest hot topic going on right now, which is about a young woman by the name of Radonda Vaught, who has been charged for having a part in an accidental death of a patient. As a disclaimer, this video is not going to be in depth like each and every day of the trial and all of that stuff. Okay, I'm just going to briefly touch on what happened and how she actually even got to that point. I also want to discuss what this means and what this decision means for nurses and other healthcare workers moving forward. Because I'm going to let you guys know something. This is just a very, very weird and trying time for nurses. It has been ever since COVID started, honestly. COVID has really just kind of opened the can of worms that we've all been kind of just keeping the lid on for so long. And it has just spread rapidly throughout the healthcare system. And it just seems like things just keep happening. And situations just keep occurring where nursing is just turned upside down. I think the whole healthcare system is. And it's not just nurses, right? We have respiratory therapists, radiology techs, ultrasound technologists, CNAs, everybody. Everyone who is involved in patient care, I think they see the turmoil that is going on right now. It's just weird. I don't even know really what to call it. But if you guys are interested in a video like this, you're interested in this story, you're interested in nursing, whatever the case may be, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I would definitely appreciate that. And we're about to get into this story right now. Stay tuned. So, Radonda Vaught is a 36-year-old nurse who was working in the neuro ICU for about 2 years when she was working at Vanderbilt Hospital in Tennessee. She was basically acting as a resource nurse on December 26, 2017 when this whole situation occurred. And as a consequence of this action, Radonda Vaught's whole life has been turned upside down. So the story goes where the patient was actually in a radiology department about to get a MRI scan, a CAT scan, or some type of scan of that nature. A lot of times when we send patients down to do these types of scans, they can get a little bit anxious, whether it be from the tight fit of the machine. Some people just suffer from anxiety naturally just whenever, and then they need something to calm them down so that they can actually get the scan done, because you have to be pretty still to get a picture taken of your body, right? A scan of your organs so that it comes out clearly for the doctor to see and visualize. This patient was in the radiology department getting anxious, and Radonda, working as a resource nurse, she was, you know, and let me just say, a resource nurse in a hospital is pretty much someone who floats back and forth through different units, or they can honestly just be in one unit and just kind of be like an extra set of hands, or just a, you know, person to use as a resource for different things, whether it be from starting IVs, or you need them to do an EKG, or giving a med if you're super busy, anything, you know. That's what she was doing that day, and she actually had a preceptee with her as well. Radonda was called to get a medication for a patient in this radiology department, saying that you know, the patient is very anxious. Can she get something to relax so she can get this done? Radonda, she received an order, I believe, a verbal order from a doctor, but the order was not actually in the system. When I say system, I mean it was not exactly in the electronic medication administration record yet. And what that is it's actually a software in a charting system that us nurses use, or healthcare workers use, when we log into a patient, and it's an electronic medication administration record. We go in, we look up the patient, and we see how many medications that they have, or what medications they have, the dosages, the time, all of that stuff. But she did not have that order in just yet. So what Radonda did was she approached a machine called an AccuDose machine. I'm not really quite familiar of AccuDose as a brand or a company, I'm more familiar to an Omnicell or Pyxis, but from pictures and videos of an AccuDose machine, it's pretty much the same thing, okay? It's a medication dispensing machine. And what that machine has is, it has a screen on it, okay? It has a screen and it has drawers for you to pull out medications, and it has different compartments to separate, said meds, all right? And what it does is it has you use a user ID. You have to put in the password, and you have to basically, log in so that you can have access. It shows you a list of patients. You click on that patient, and it should show you if it's in the EMR, or the electronic medication administration record. It should show you what medications they have on file for you to pull. But they did not have that for them to pull at the time because it was quick, it was fast. Radonda just chose to what we call override the med. When we override a med, you pretty much bypass the whole safety net of reducing a medication error, okay? And when you override, majority of the times, it gives you a list of reasons why you're overriding. So it can be anywhere from emergencies to pain to ambulance restock, whatever. Okay, I'm just giving my emergency room experience. I don't know, what it says on a lot of other floors, but I don't know what she pressed in that moment, but I'm sure that that's what popped up, hopefully, because that should normally pop up for an override of a medication. So when you override a medication, that's pretty much saying it's not an order in here. And are you sure, you got to make sure it's the right patient too, because you don't want that to fall back on you, especially if it is a super, super highly toxic or, a narcotic or something like that type of medication. The order was to pull a medication called Versed, and what Versed is a sedative. It helps people to kind of relax, calm down, especially for anxiety. It really does help with that also. And Versed is just a trade name. It's a common name, a more palatable name, rather. That's what trade names of medications are. I think it's more of a easier sounding type of name for people to pronounce than the generic name, which is just the scientific name of a medication. Let's just say it like that. And you're supposed to put in the generic name for that med. So for Versed as a trade name, the generic name for Versed is midazolam. It's a benzodiazepine. Okay, and she ended up putting in VE, and majority of the times you're supposed to put in the generic name of a medication. All right, so she put in VE thinking that, Versed will pop up. There was an option to choose Vercuronium, and that is what she chose. Now, Vercuronium came out of the AccuDose machine, from what Radonda Vaught said, and she got that and put it in her pocket, I believe, or she drew it up or something like that. Whatever the case is, I believe she drew up the medication, and she proceeded to go downstairs to give this medication to that patient that was about to get the scan done. Now, two things. We're just going to take a pause right there. Two things for me is, I'm not placing blame. We're not doing that right now. All I want to know is she had a precepty with her at the time. I don't know where the precepty was, but if she's a resource nurse, you're really not going, you're not doing a whole lot right now. You're just focusing on getting the med out, the Pyxis. So I'm going to assume that the precepty was there. But if she wasn't, that's fine. If she was, though, to me, that just seems like an extra pair of eyes. So no one caught the fact that this was not Versed, and it said something else, like Vercuronium. Number two, the fact of the matter is, I don't know how the substance of Vercuronium, like how it was, what type of brand or whatever she pulled out of the AccuDose, but majority of the time, Vercuronium is reconstituted. So I don't really know. Maybe it was already in liquid form. That's what I'm going to think. And I don't know why it would be in the Pyxis, because it's a paralytic. Okay, Vercuronium is a paralytic. A lot of times they use vercuronium in intubations. I know I'm not really familiar with vercuronium. I've used rocuronium. So that's actually used after you sedate a patient and relax their trachea. Just kind of relax them so that they don't, you know, go bucking wild when you're trying to put down an endotracheal tube down their throat to help them breathe. It's the only time I've worked with a paralytic before. Fast forward, Radonda Vaught goes downstairs. She gives the medication. Now, she's not scanning the bottle or anything like that. She has not scanned anything yet. And up until this point, has not scanned anything yet. So she gives the medication to the patient, IV push. And from the trial, I heard basically that she ended up getting called to the ER for assistance. And when they asked her if she wanted to stay behind and monitor the patient, she said, no, I actually have to go to the ER. Now, whether it's a paralytic or a sedative or anything like that that causes any form of respiratory depression, you definitely want to stay behind and check the stats. You want to make sure you want to check the blood pressure, the respirations, the oxygen saturation, all of those things. Because when you're messing with opioids, benzodiazepines, things like that, you want to make sure that the patient is okay after getting something like that. So she ends up going to the ER. While in ER, she, you know, some minutes later, she hears that there's a cold in the radiology department. Now, if that were me, my heart would have dropped because I'm like, I just gave something to somebody in radiology. So at this point, I can only imagine how Radonda is feeling. Okay, I can only imagine how she's feeling. So the cold is started. Radonda goes back, and the primary nurse, because Radonda, you know, just to remind you guys, she's not the primary nurse of this patient. She's going all around the hospital helping people out. She's a resource nurse. But the primary RN is asking her, what did you give her? Like, she's thinking to herself, like, what happened? Like, this patient was okay, goes to get the scan, and now Radonda was very forthcoming and honest from the very jump. She told them, oh my God, when she looked at the vial, I gave vercuronium. I thought I gave Versed. And I think that it was at that very moment everybody in the room was probably just looking like, oh shit, somebody done fucked up. Okay, excuse my language, but I know that that's what somebody was thinking in that room. And I can only imagine again Radonda feeling like her heart was in her throat. Okay, stomach was in the chest. Something like my whole body I felt would have probably just been flushed. So she tells the charge nurse, she tells who she needs to tell that, hey, this is what I did this, you know, and she was very apologetic from the start as well. Now, because of this very, very fatal event, on January 3rd of 2018, Vaught gets fired from Vanderbilt Hospital. Okay, and several days later, on January 10th, 2018, Vanderbilt settled with the patient's family for an undisclosed amount of money. And when I hear that, oh, okay, we're just going to settle with the family real quick. It's like hush money. Pretty much what it is, hush money. We're sorry that this happened to you. We really deeply apologize. Here's some hush money, okay? Let's keep it on the low. Yeah, I don't know about all that, partner. Let it be one of my peoples, honey. Yeah, we need more than that, because that's just not going to cut it, okay? And the family did not press any charges on Vaught, okay? Apparently, these type of things happen all the time and don't ever actually reach court. And I have heard about people actually going to court, or a deposition, but not actually being charged, let alone for murder. Homicide, that's deep. That's something serious right there for everybody to think about. This whole case is just unfortunate. Like, I feel for Radonda. I really do. On October 3rd, 2018, an anonymous tip was actually made to the proper entities that the hospital should have reported to from the very beginning. And that is the Center of Medicare Services, or Medicaid services. So Medicare actually came to Vanderbilt and asked them about this situation and pretty much just informed the hospital if they do not come forth about this situation and how this could have been fixed, I'm assuming prevented for any future mistakes, right, Medicare? Not fixed cover it up. right? But actually fix so that things like this does not happen again. They told them they will lose all of your funding, okay? You guys will lose all of your funding if you don't tell us what's going on right now. What happened? So Vanderbilt was just like, oh, okay. We'll tell it all then. All right, you don't got to threaten us, all right? Just have a good seat and we'll tell you all the details that you want to know. So now Vanderbilt wants to start spilling the beans, when at first everything was on a low and on a hush-hush. Center of Medical Services then releases details to the public in November of 2018. And on February 2019, Radonda was charged with reckless homicide, okay? Reckless homicide. Let's kind of backtrack though a little bit. I just wanted to kind of bring up the Tennessee Department of Health because normally when an error like this occurs and it's very serious, you have to go and get a, you have to do like a hearing in front of like a board or something like that. And Radonda Vaught went, when this situation occurred, after she got fired, to see the Tennessee Department of Health for disciplinary action. And on October 23rd, 2018, she was basically like, you know, telling them, I'm very remorseful, very sorry, very apologetic. I am just so deeply saddened that I did this, right? She was very apologetic from the very beginning. And back in October of 2018, though, they told her, we're not going to, you know, pursue any type of disciplinary action. Matter of fact, we'll just decline it. You know, go ahead with your life. Do what you need to do, whatever. They changed their mind on September 27, 2019, and actually pursued disciplinary action. In that hearing, that disciplinary hearing with the Department of Health, Radonda Vaught actually ended up getting her nursing license revoked in all 50 states. And that means that she can no longer practice in the United States of America. Her entire being of her career is wiped out like it never happened. She can no longer work as a nurse ever again. Also, she gets fined due to civil penalties, okay? And 3 of those penalties are failing to verify a med, failing to monitor a patient post-administration of that med, and failing to chart a nursing intervention. And that fine together was $3,000. And we're not even including the court fees because, I mean, I still don't understand court fees. I guess it's like the people's time that were involved, the judge and the lawyers and everything, court fees, right? I heard that they were up to $60,000. According to my girl, Nurse Liz, she made a very descriptive live stream about this whole case. And she said that it was up to $60,000. So now you're telling this girl she don't even have a job anymore. And now she's facing a felony at that point on her record. Where's she gonna get that money from to pay you guys? Where? Lord have mercy, help the children. After that, the pandemic starts in 2020, right? A lot of things are put on hold. Court cases, anything with crowded areas, and it was postponed. March 2021, the criminal trial starts. Now we're in April of 2022 at this point of recording this video. And Radonda was found guilty just a couple of days ago in March last month of this video of 2022. She was found guilty of gross neglect of an impaired adult. And that right there could give her 3 to 6 years of incarceration. The second charge that she was found guilty of by a jury was criminally negligent homicide. And that alone could carry 1 to 2 years incarceration. I am just deeply saddened by everything because, yes, what Radonda did was wrong. We have these rights that we hear about in nursing school that we have to go by, like right dosage, right patient, right date of birth, you know, right route. And she failed to do any of that. And it just saddens me because what the hell are they doing to Vanderbilt in this situation? I'm not hearing anything about this hospital and this whole thing, about them suffering any type of repercussions. None at all. Nothing. Nada. It was also found that 2 medical providers who signed the death certificate of this patient lied on that death certificate about the cause of this death and said that it was natural causes. Is anybody ever going to do anything about them lying on the death certificate when the one person that has been truthful this whole entire time is facing jail time? I mean, make that make sense. I don't understand. Honestly, you guys, it just seems like ever since COVID happened, everything has just been just this whirlwind of disastrous situations for nurses. And you know, all healthcare workers, I'm sure, are feeling the brunt of what is going on with the staffing shortages and all of these things. I actually have a video that I'm going to post up here for you guys to see. That video is about capping our pay as nurses. We already are going through that. And then you find a nurse who admitted to everything from the very beginning and has been nothing but remorseful and apologetic this whole entire time, facing jail time and a felony on her record, and never ever having, you know, her nursing license ever again. I just don't understand. Now we are faced with incarceration for a mistake. It's becoming too much to handle at times. Now, at this point, you're letting people know if you report an error, there is a possibility for you to go to prison. So do you know what that means? Do you know what that's going to actually do? It's going to tell people or let other health workers think that I'm not going to put in or report a med error because I could go to jail if I do. I don't understand the aim of the government or this justice system when it comes to healthcare workers. They're acting like we're the enemy. I'm just not understanding. We're human is what we are. We're regular, everyday people that want to get up, help others, care for others, because that's what's in our hearts to do, and go home to our families and not have to worry about a genuine mistake taking us and landing us in jail. Near misses and medication errors unfortunately happen all the time. I have had near misses before. I have other nursing friends and colleagues and co-workers who have also made medical errors. They may not have been as severe as this, causing a death or anything like that, but it happens all the time. It's a very easy mistake to make, and I'm not making an excuse for her, and not one bit. I'm not making an excuse. She should have done what she should have done to prevent this from happening. Does Radonda Vaught deserve to go to jail? Absolutely not. And that's just where I stand. You already took away her life, and her whole livelihood is gone, wiped away. If that's something that she dreamt about doing from her childhood or from whatever point in her life, she no longer can have that dream. That right there is enough, and something else that is severe enough for her to understand her repercussions, but not jail. There are people out here that are making more harsher offenses than an accident that this young lady did, and they are getting less time than that, okay? I don't know what they are. Every courthouse is different. Every judge thinks differently. I don't know. Don't ask me and don't say, oh, well, what cases do you know that people aren't going to jail for killing someone. Let's not do all of that. We need to take everything into consideration, okay? Because the only person who's getting condemned here is her. I just don't think that it's fair. I don't think that is fair. She deserves to be penalized, yes, absolutely. There have been times where, because I do work in the ER, we don't even have scanners. So do you know how risky that is? Do you understand how much that puts people in? Like, I have to do my own safety measures when I administer a medication, okay? The very fact that we don't have scanners in some of these hospitals, and even if they do, they might not even be working. So there are so many things that can be changed, but do these institutions even care at all? I don't think they do. This whole case, when I heard about this, I wasn't even thinking about liability insurance. I got mail, letters, and emails about it before, but I never, ever thought that I needed it. I'm like, I'm not a doctor. Maybe I don't need it. I'm not the one calling the shots, but it doesn't matter. Because even if they're calling the shots and they make a mistake, if you're the one it lands on and you do that intervention, it's on you, baby. It's on you. Get liability insurance. When I heard about Radonda Vaught, that's exactly what I did the very first second I heard what was going on with her. The two recommendations that I can tell you about is CM and F group. Okay, that's the one that I got mine under nurse, or I think it's like a healthcare provider insurance policy or something like that that covers you from certain situations. And basically, you're paying for your own counsel. If something happens and you get called to court and you're working for that hospital at the time, the hospital is not going to protect you. They're going to have their own, team for them, but not for you. You need someone to stick up for you. And that's primarily what liability insurance is all about. The other one I heard of was called Mercer, and I think CM&F and Mercer are two of the most popular liability insurances for nurses and other healthcare providers because they have longevity in the game. And they also have good ratings with the Better Business Bureau. Okay, so you want to do your research. You want to make sure that you are covering, yourself at all times. Okay. If you're a new nurse, a new grad, or a nursing student, do not let this story dissuade you from going into nursing. I want you to follow your heart, but is nursing very volatile right now? Yes, it is. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm scared. I'm scared. Every time I go into a shift, I have to constantly think now, every move I make, I could go to jail. That's a scary situation to be in. And for new nurses who don't barely know anything, I would be afraid too. I don't know where the healthcare system is going, how it's going to look in the future. I really don't know. That is for the future to tell, but I'm going to tell you this. I am planning on retiring very, very soon because this right here, or even changing from bedside to like clinic or something, because I don't want the responsibility to fall on me like that. That's something that's very heavy. If you're a nurse, you know how much you worked hard for that license. You worked hard for it. It took a lot of trial and error to get to where you are, and you made it and you succeeded. And one little mistake that you would never do intentionally can just uproot your whole living, your whole being. Now you have to do something else that I don't know. But let's get into the comments from the people, okay? The very first comment that I see on a post about Radonda Vaught is a nurse, and she is saying it is clear that she made a mistake, a med error that contributed to a patient's death. She admitted it. Regardless of how Vanderbilt may or may not have covered it up remains to be seen. What is most important in this case is the precedent that it sets. What happens if a nurse gives a wrong medication, the patient has a negative reaction, or worse, dies? This verdict paves the way for criminal prosecution, not just civil penalties. This is a game changer in nursing. To think that a mistake could cost you not only your career, but also land you in prison. It is not worth it. The anxiety level as a nurse has increased so much. Now they also want to cap pay. Again, y'all, and again, you guys, please watch my nursing video about capping the pay, all right? Are they turning us into civil servants? I am not sure what is happening in this field, but something is. I have seen other facilities punish staff that initially was not punished to satisfy CMS. I have actually seen it more than once. CMS holds the purse strings. Without that money, hospitals, clinics, skilled nursing facilities cannot survive. Someone said, yep, I'm done with hospitals. Scary as fuck, okay? Yes, very scary. I just told you guys I am extremely concerned and fearful. Someone else said, but she still failed to do one basic task that everyone should be doing regardless of overriding the system. Read the vial. Yes, the Omnicell overriding was an issue, but in my opinion, it's completely irrelevant to this child because in the end, she never even read what she was giving. Someone commented to that comment and also said, everyone knows what she should have done. Be glad it's her mistake and not yours, reminding us all what should have happened. Her sentencing is on May 13th, okay? I'm going to do a follow-up video about that sentencing, but we'll see if she actually does get a lot of time for this. I am hoping and praying that she doesn't get any time, but she probably will because she was already found guilty of those two offenses. I feel bad for what Radonda Vaught is going through, and I feel bad for the patient's family for losing their loved one. If you want to comment down in the comments below and tell me what you think about this case, what do you expect out of this case? Have you ever made a medical error before? And what did you learn from it? Please let us know what's going on with you guys too. How do you feel about everything that's going on? Please leave your comments down below, and also again, like and subscribe. It would truly help my channel out, guys. And I also have a nursing playlist. It has some nursing videos in there for you guys to watch if you are interested in nursing at all. And again, as usual, see you guys in the next video.